Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide. Hey, preschool peeps.
Hi, peeps.
So here we are, the two of us suffering with allergies. In case we sneeze, please forgive us. We're hoping not.
You never know.
Two of us sorry. We just took stuff. I don't know. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, okay.
And you know, it makes us human if we start to cough or sneeze or sniffle in the middle of this, you know, this recording. What are you going to do?
We are human beings. Yes.
Right? Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And a little grace is nice, you know, too.
Yeah. I'm thinking about how to segue over to we are human beings. I've got it. Ready? We are human beings. And so we each have our own way of taking in and giving back information, which is what makes universal design in learning so important in the early childhood years. And I suspect that many of you are already using curriculums that use a universal design and you don't even know it. Because I think that phrase universal design is something that is not often used in early childhood. It's used for other students, up to and including college students. But the truth is that so much of what we do in early childhood needs to be universal design because the children are such individuals. So let me explain as best I can the idea of universal design. If we're talking about a space like the classroom, the environment, universal design would allow all children, regardless of ability or disability, to participate in everything that's in the room. So you're making sure that if a child, for example, needs a wheelchair, that wheelchair would be able to fit everywhere, right? And go everywhere so that no matter what's in the space, that child could select it and play with it or use it.
Yeah.
So that's one example of universal design in the environment. You know, there are other things like if you have a child with, a hearing impairment, you want to make sure that your alarms both ring and flicker the lights. Universal design. Everyone can respond, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of ability or disability. When we're talking about curriculum, universal design in learning is that we present information a variety of ways so that no matter who you are, whatever kind of learner and whatever you need, you have the opportunity to access that information. And also, there are many ways that you could give that information back to us to show that you learned it. It isn't just one way to produce one thing, like a test on a worksheet only allows children to produce their knowledge in one way. We don't want that. We want children to be able to produce their knowledge in a bunch of ways. An example that comes to mind is children learning the letters in their name. Well, you can show me that you've learned that a bunch of ways. You could put it on something you're painting. You could take Play-Doh and maybe mold the letters. You can draw the letters in sand. You know, you could do a variety of things to show me those letters that I'm not demanding that it gets written on this piece of paper.
Every single time. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And likewise, I'm showing it to them a variety of ways. So and for me, a read aloud is a perfect example of this.
Yes.
You know, we may be reading a book. And so one time I'm going to read it out loud, and another time we're going to use felt board pieces that enable children to use their senses in a different way while experiencing the story. And the children would participate with the felt board, not just me. Yeah. And maybe another time we talk about this story, the children get to act it out, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that no matter the type of learner or what's going on with them or what they need from us, the information is accessible. When you think about adults, when we're teaching adults, because this could help people understand too, when you're teaching adults, it's like, I'm going to give you the information in a textbook, but I'm also going to give you access to an article that's written maybe a little more clearly or succinctly, you know, a little shorter and clearer. But I'm also going to show you a video about this concept, you know, so there's a variety of ways we approach the same concept, and taking that as something that was done with older children and bringing it to younger children. It looks like there's a variety of ways we're going to approach teaching you to recognize your name. We're going to put your picture by your name. We're going to put your name on your cubby. We're going to,
Yes.
here's all the different things we're
All
going
the
to do with
different
your
ways.
name,
Yeah.
right? All the different
Yeah.
ways. And like I said, I suspect many of you are already doing this. Some of the more popular and widely used curriculums do consider themselves to be universal design, because children can access information and give back information in the way that is best for them.
Yeah. And I do think most of us are doing this, because even when Cindy was just like, she sent me this universal by design, I've never called it that. And then when she described it, I was like, oh, that's just what we do. Like, I think it's just what preschool teachers, I think that's just what teachers kind of do in general, right? Is make everything as universal as you can make it, so that you are reaching everybody in your classroom.
Hopefully so. Hopefully that's what teachers are planning for. But it does take some intentional planning to think, okay, some children will be able to absorb it this way. Other children need to absorb it this way. And so you have to think about, who do I have in the room, right? You have to be observing them. Who do I have in the room?
Knowing your children. Yeah.
Knowing the children and knowing how they approach learning. We all approach learning differently. My son, when his girlfriend had to take a very important test, and these are adults, right? And my son was saying, well, here's how I used to study when I was in college. And she's like, no, that study method doesn't work for me. And I went in and I said, I used to put my books under my pillow at night. And they all looked at me like I was like, what? So they looked at me like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I used to write notes and stuff, but then I always put the books under my pillow at night. And the two of them laughed so hard. We all have our own way of approaching what we need to do. And even if you think about, no two people approach like a task we do all the time. No two people approach going grocery shopping the same way. Some people buy the things based on what coupons they have. Some people make extensive lists and really stick to it. Other people make a list and don't stick to it. Some people show up and don't make a list. Everybody has their own way of doing everything. And when we're planning for the children, when we're lesson planning, we really need to think about, how many ways can I teach this one concept to the children? And how many ways can I watch for and provide them to show me that they've learned it?
Yeah. To me, I feel like I do this a lot with math, right? Because to me, there's so many different ways to show that you know numbers, right? So you know what numbers look like. And then can you name those numbers? And then can you connect those numbers with the quantities? Can you then do one-to-one correspondence with the numbers? Like, there's so many different ways that math can be used. And there's so many different ways that I can present it so that it reaches the population that I'm trying to reach, right? So and for me, it's I know the kids in my classroom too. So and every year might be different. Some years there's children that might learn it one way. One class, by doing that question of the day, they would count every single day who was in the yes column, who was in the no column, and they would learn numbers that way. This current class I have, not so much. They're not really into that, but they are into different games that I can give them, and they want to play a game. Yeah.
I was just going to say, you could learn about numbers through counting Legos and building something. You can learn about it through playing games.
Yeah.
You can learn about it through voting and tallying. You're right. So, and it's
different ways.
It could be basically the same number concept that you're teaching. All those different ways, like the counting, right? You play a game, you're counting the spaces. You tally votes, you're counting how many votes.
Right.
It's just the action.
It's the action of counting, right? It's different.
Yeah. The action is different. So as we're planning, math is I feel like math is such, I don't know, not easy maybe, but a simple one to think about for an example of this. And things related to language and literacy might be a little more challenging, or science even. might be a little more
Science. Yeah.
challenging. How do we, I think about programs that do these topics. I was just talking to a group of people that have the teaching topic, like caring for things is the topic.
Yeah.
It's basically
Yeah.
caring. So you could teach caring a variety of ways. You could teach caring by caring for a plant, by caring for a pet, by talking about people who care for you, by reading books about caring for things and
Yeah.
people. And that's what we're talking about, kind of approaching it multiple ways.
That's actually really true. Like in my classroom, we have all of that. And I don't think I ever really thought of it as being universal design. I just thought like, these are different things that we can learn about and we need to care for them. And, we also, you care for the pets, but you also need to care for the plants and you also need to care for each other, and here's how we do that. I think, but I never thought of it as universal design. I just thought like,
well, if you're teaching, if your goal is to teach that concept of caring and you're doing it a variety of ways, right? And then the children can show you they've learned it a variety of ways. They could show you during free choice time. Maybe they're pretending something that shows them caring. And then during some portion of the day, we're going to take care of the plants we planted. And that's another way to show you. And, so they have a variety of ways to come back. Maybe you ask them if they have siblings, how do you take care of your siblings? Let's write a book about it together, right? So you can write a book about caring. You can demonstrate caring. You can participate in activities that require caring. And so you can use your universal design for all of the domains of learning, including social emotional, which tends to be in some ways less tangible than like literacy or math, for example.
Right.
Think about physical development. There are loads of ways that we work on with children to build fine motor skills and gross motor skills. And, when I think about gross motor, like I was never that run around gym person. That was never me. So they needed to find a way. Right. Something that I was going to be willing to do and enjoy, which by the way, it still baffles the world. What exercise am I going to do and enjoy? I mean, I do things, but enjoy might be an exaggeration.
Enjoy is a different thing.
How can you, think about how can you help children to build those muscles a variety of ways? So as you look at your lesson plans, folks, there's a few things you have to look at. You have to look at what are the goals that I'm trying to work on with the children? What are the overall goals, right? Am I trying to teach this goal a variety of ways, or am I really only doing it one or two ways? Because if I'm doing it one or two ways, I'm not hitting all the learners in the room. So how many different ways can I reinforce this concept? And then how many different ways can I ensure that children can demonstrate to me that they've learned it? Which like flies in the face of I don't want to use the word traditional, the age-old testing of children, right? When I call children to a table and I go, what shape is this? What color is this? What letter is this? They only have one way to express it to me for that evaluation. So that's why we don't evaluate them that way. It's kind of like worksheets, right? Only give them one way.
One way to express it.
And you're right or you're wrong. You're right or you're wrong on a worksheet. So you have to think about, am I observing them carefully to see what they've learned? Am I providing them with opportunities to demonstrate what they've learned? What am I putting in the areas of my room that might encourage that demonstration? What conversations am I having that might encourage them to share what they've done and learned? Because some people will express it through conversation. Some people will express it in a written form, whether it's drawing or attempting to write. Some people will express themselves more through dramatic arts. Right? Think about the arts, which are dramatic arts, music and movement, and visual arts. The visual arts. Those three arts give children different ways to express themselves. And what we're asking them to do is figure out a way to express to me what you've learned. Right?
Yeah. And I feel like that's a good way to do it, because
young children with opportunity. Older students I could go to and say something like, would you like to create a video presentation? Would you like to write a paper? Or would you like to, what's another option?
Like,
or would you like to produce a video with your classmates?
Yeah.
So I could go to older students and say, you could produce a video, you could write a paper, you could create a visual, PowerPoint, you could. I can't do that with really young children. So I need to figure out how can I give them options for presenting what they know.
Right. Because I feel like the arts, especially the arts, but other maybe topics too, but in the arts, because even within just that topic of visual arts, there's like several different ways to do visual arts. There are several different ways to do dramatic arts. There's several different ways to do things. So like within that visual art, like I have one student who can draw like on like a 10-year-old level, I feel like, and she's only 5. Right. But then there's others that they're not at that level and they don't enjoy drawing, but they do enjoy sculpting with Play-Doh. So, that's, that 3D art factor or that sculpting. So if I want to test if they know something, say, I want to test if they know their letters, I'm going to ask the girl who likes to draw, hey, why don't we take some markers and let's see if you can write your name. And for the other students, I might sit there and say, let's take some Play-Doh and roll it out and see if you can make the letter A, and it just depends. But within the arts alone, there's so much wiggle room there of what students might want to do and not do, and what they enjoy and what they don't enjoy. Another student might do something totally different for art. They might want to paint it on the easel, and that's okay. Because within that, it's like so many different things.
Yeah. So let's give them two things. I'm going to go back to the 2 things. One is look at the goals that you have and what your lesson plans are, and decide, have I given enough different ways to absorb this information? And am I giving the children encouragement and enough ways to show me what they've learned? That's the question. Because universal design includes everyone. And that's what we need to do. It's inclusive. Everyone is included. All children of all abilities, of all cultures, of all everybody's included. Yeah. All right, folks, we're going to take our sniffly selves.
I'm sorry, I had to get the tissue out. I thought I could make it, but I couldn't.
I know. We're gonna end this episode, and hopefully in the next episode we won't be so sniffly.
Yes. Let's hope not.
Okay, preschool peeps. Sorry about that. But we hope you come away thinking about universal design.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Take care, preschool peeps.
Bye, peeps.